Have you ever got lucid only to wake up moments later? It's frustrating, annoying, and it leaves you wanting more. So today we're going to dive into how you can stay in a lucid dream longer. But before we explore how to have longer lucid dreams, how long could a lucid dream actually be? Okay, so lucid dreaming occurs in a phase of sleep called REM, rapid eye movement. We have roughly 5 periods of REM each night, and they occur between 70 to 120 minutes apart during your night's sleep. So when you first go to bed, it's about 90 minutes before you have your first period of REM, and then another 90 minutes until the second, and so on. REM phases get longer as the night goes on. The first period of REM is very short, roughly about 5 minutes long, and the final 5th period of REM is normally between 40 to 60 minutes long. And there's a simple rule to remember how long each REM phase will be, and it's basically this. Each REM phase is roughly double that of the one that went before it. So the first one is about 5 minutes, the next one 10 minutes, the next one 20 minutes, etc. All in all, you'll have between 90 to 120 minutes of REM dreaming sleep each night, but bear in mind that changes depending on your age, your lifestyle, and how long you sleep. So to answer that question, how long could a lucid dream actually be? Under ideal conditions where you got lucid at the beginning of the longest period of REM, the final period of REM in the night, you could have a lucid dream that lasted about 60 minutes, sometimes longer. But nature is messy and unpredictable, so don't rely too much on the numbers. For example, the longest period of REM ever recorded, the world record, is held by someone called David Powell, who had REM sleep for 3 hours and 8 minutes. By the way, that happened back in 1994. And in my own personal experience, the longest lucid dream I've ever recorded lasted about 2 hours. So it is possible to have incredibly long lucid dreams. So if it's possible to have really long periods of REM, why are so many lucid dreams short? It's actually not quite as simple as you might think. There are multiple reasons why your lucid dreams might be short, but by far the most common is when you get lucid in the dream. Lucid dreaming occurs when your brain chemistry and brain activation during REM is similar to that during wakefulness. That means that neurotransmitters such as acetylcholine and areas of the brain such as the prefrontal cortex are more active. So what does that mean in simple terms? It means that if you're having a dream and your brain chemistry and brain activation is similar to wakefulness, you're likely to have a lucid dream. But when is it similar to wakefulness? Well, there's an obvious answer: just before you're about to wake up. So during a dream, as you get closer to waking up, your brain activity is similar to that of a waking brain, meaning you're more likely to have a lucid dream. So what that means in practical terms is most beginners' lucid dreams happen at just the very end of a REM phase, just before they're about to wake up. So for the vast majority of beginners wondering why their lucid dreams are so short, the answer is that. Because your brain activation and brain chemistry just before you wake up is the thing that's giving you lucid dreams. What you need to do is focus more on your training, because lucid dream training will push that moment of lucidity earlier into the period of REM. And the nice thing about this particular problem is that it will solve itself in time as long as you keep doing your lucid dream training. The reason these lucid dreams happen, these beginner lucid dreams occur at all, is because you're getting a boost of brain activation and brain chemistry to help you along. In fact, I even categorize these kinds of lucid dreams separately. I would call them assisted lucid dreams, because they are assisted by your brain activation just before wakefulness. They're basically the first taste of lucid dreaming, but not the bigger picture. And here's an important thing to remember to avoid frustration and beating yourself up. If you're having an assisted lucid dream, a lucid dream that only occurred because you were about to wake up, there is nothing you can do to extend that lucid dream. The REM was going to end anyway. And a lot of people think about this back to front, and I don't want you to do that. So don't think, I got lucid and that woke me up. Because what really happened was this: I got lucid because I was about to wake up. But here's the thing: when you're in a lucid dream, you have no idea and no way to tell whether it's an assisted lucid dream or a normal lucid dream. So the sensible thing to do is to assume that it's a normal lucid dream and to try to make the lucid dream last longer. So now that we've covered the number one problem for waking up too early, let's move on to normal lucid dreams and what you can do to make sure you don't wake up early from those. Emotional excitement. So there's this common piece of folk knowledge that floats around the lucid dreaming sphere that if you get too excited in a lucid dream, you'll wake up. Now, is that true? Well, the simple answer is kind of, but nowhere near as much as people make out. So here's a way to think about it. Think about your non-lucid dreams, especially your nightmares. How often have you had strong, worrying, terrifying moments of anxiety in your nightmares, but not woken up? The dream just continued torturing you with all of this stress and frustration and all the other strong feelings. So we have a living example that strong emotions in dreams don't necessarily wake you up. But then also you will remember nightmares where you woke up screaming or gasping or crying and the strong emotion has woken you up. So the thing is, both of these things can be true at the same time. So what does the science tell us? If your brain chemistry, especially norepinephrine, adrenaline, and cortisol, spike to a certain level during dreams, then yes, you will wake up. But for most dreams, that won't occur. So all we need to do is to employ a little common sense. If we know that there is a chance under certain circumstances that strong emotions can wake you up, then we want to avoid the possibility of that happening. How do you do that? Well, you just try to remain calm when you find yourself in a lucid dream. Now, practicing meditation, reading up on stoicism, these kinds of things, any way to regulate your emotions will be beneficial for longer lucid dreams. And here's a very silly thing that I see far too many people doing. If you want to guarantee an emotional spike during a lucid dream, well, worrying about having an emotional spike that might wake you up is one way to do that, because worry itself is an emotional spike, so don't do that. The truth about REM. So there's something that most people do, and they do it kind of unconsciously, and that's to assume that we have any control at all over the natural process of REM, which we don't. As lucid dreamers, we are working with our sleep processes. We are not controlling them. We may control the nature of the dream, but we won't control the nature of the dreaming process. That's something we don't have any control over. So when you find yourself in a lucid dream, you can't really extend how long the REM period is. You can only work with the REM period until its natural conclusion. It's very much like surfing. A surfer can't control the wave, but they can mess up and fall off the surfboard. Destabilising REM. Okay, so how do you fall off the surfboard? Well, one common mistake that many beginners make is to try too much dream control too soon. It's important to remember that REM is a natural process. It has a function. Your mind is essentially consolidating memories and playing with ideas during REM. That happens for a reason. When you become lucid in a dream, you're basically interfering with that natural process. So we don't want to interfere too much. So when you find yourself in a lucid dream, don't go completely off script. Remember, your dream is occurring for a reason, and you should work with the themes of the dream. In fact, I would recommend for most beginner lucid dreamers, don't try too much dream control at all, maybe even none. Just explore the dream world, see what your mind is up to. Get used to being lucid in your dreams, and then later, as you become more confident in being lucid, then you can start to perform acts of dream control. This is very similar to a beginner surfer who isn't trying crazy tricks when they're just starting out. They're just learning to ride with the wave. Engage with the dream. So this is one of the most common bits of advice for longer lucid dreams, and it's to give your full attention to the dream world. That could be spinning around during the dream in order to amplify your sensory experience, but equally it could be touching the dream environment, shouting, singing, speaking, narrating what's going on, really getting involved with what the dream's all about. Now, the reason you do this is very similar to a beginner surfer who, when they're surfing, pays attention to the wave, pays attention to the board. They really feel what's going on. Imagine a surfer, a beginner who's riding a wave, they're paying attention to what's going on, and then suddenly they start thinking about what they're going to have for dinner, or worrying about doing their tax return or something like that. The moment they're not paying attention to riding the wave and giving their attention to something else, that's when they're likely to make a mistake and fall off. The same is true with dreaming. Give your attention to what you're doing, engage with the dream. But there's another reason for doing this. The more you engage with the dream environment, the more you're shutting out sensory input from the waking world. The more you're focused on the dream, the less likely you are to be pulled back into wakefulness by your bodily sensations. REM sleep is very similar to waking consciousness, and as a result, it is often punctuated with micro-awakenings. So you really want to make sure you're focused on the dream, so there's no chance at all that you can fall into one of those micro-awakenings and ruin your lucid dream. And that's even if the REM phase isn't completely finished, so you might wake up and still need more REM, but by that point you've lost lucidity within the dream. And just to make something perfectly clear, when a surfer is riding a wave, they have no control over how long that wave will remain, but they can fall off the wave early. That would be the equivalent of a micro-awakening. So remember, you don't control how long REM lasts. You can't have a period of REM that is longer than is going to happen naturally, but you can fall off that period of REM prematurely. So your goal isn't to make REM last longer, because you can't do that. Your goal is to not fall out of REM that was going to last for a given amount of time. Losing lucidity. So one thing which is often overlooked when it comes to longer lucid dreams is that it's not just waking up which is a problem for lucid dreamers. There's a bigger problem at hand, and that is losing lucidity within the dream and then the dream continuing as a non-lucid dream. And this is really the number one problem for lucid dreamers. Once you've stopped being a beginner, when you're intermediate or experienced, waking up too early is really rarely that much of an issue. The issue is losing lucidity itself, losing your clarity of mind, losing the knowledge that you're dreaming. And unlike the length of REM, which we have no control over, our mental clarity, our knowledge, and our focus, we are fully in control of. That is the one thing, as lucid dreamers, our one responsibility. So how do you maintain awareness during a lucid dream? And the trick here is the same as for our surfer friend. You give your full attention to what you're doing. You stay focused. But how do you do that? Well, one of the easiest ways to do that is to not get distracted by the dream environment itself, not to get caught up in the narrative. The moment you start arguing with the dream character, your emotions are going to bubble up, they're going to override critical thinking, and then you're lost. So one way to do this is to narrate your thoughts during the dream. Simply say what you're thinking, say what you're seeing. And one thing you'll be saying a lot, because you should be thinking it during a dream, is this is all a dream. So say your thoughts and interject it with statements reminding yourself that this is all a dream. This is just a simple way to structure your thinking, but it also activates parts of your brain that are required for critical thinking and logic, which are vital for lucid dreaming. And this is a process that works just as well when you're awake as when you're dreaming. The next time you're doing something complicated and you need to stay focused, simply verbalize your thoughts, verbalize the steps, keep yourself reminded about what you're doing. You'll find it's far easier to stay focused when you're structuring it with a linguistic anchor. Short lucid dreams are a natural part of a beginner lucid dreamer's journey. Don't panic if you're having them. They're absolutely normal, and most of the time they will resolve themselves. Once you've got past that, you can make sure that the other lucid dreams you're having are as long as they can be. But don't worry about it too much. It's all part of the natural learning process. You can't be an expert when you're starting out. Things won't be perfect when you're just beginning. Eventually you'll get there and you'll have many, many long lucid dreams. But remember, short lucid dreams will be with you throughout your entire journey because they're the easiest ones to have. And you can make your lucid dreaming journey longer today by watching one of the videos on the screen right now and remembering to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you there.